Hello doll lovers, it's Janie. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a chit chat video slash tips and tricks video. I'm going to show you guys how to pack your dolls when you're going on a trip, or in my case returning from a trip, or moving houses. I'm going to pack away all my dolls because I'm getting ready to go back home to Texas where I live in about 3 days. And I figured I would show you guys how I pack all my dolls away so that their hair doesn't get messed up or they don't get squashed. So I'm going to go ahead and change the camera angle so I can show you what I'm going to do with them. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need is a box that isn't very deep. See, this box is literally only about that deep. It's not that deep at all, because if you have a box that's really tall, what happens is when you stack all of your dolls in here, the dolls on the bottom could get smashed because all of the weight from the dolls on top could press against the doll and it could deform their faces or mess up their hair or something like that. So you need a box that really isn't very deep. Technically, like 6 inches would be best. I'm not really sure how much this one is, but it's literally only about that deep. So, and then the next thing you'll need is a long blanket or something, because you need to wrap the dolls, and I will show you my technique. So what you do is you lay your blanket down and you spread it all out. If you can see what I'm kind of doing here. I apologize for the bad camera angle. I really don't know how to do this very well. But you lay it all out nice and flat. And I'm going to show you how to do this with Ever After High dolls. So, for instance, you want to take their stands off, so that way you can fit more dolls, and then you can just take the stands apart and then put them in like a Ziploc bag or something. But what you do is you lay her flat, like so, if you can see that, how she's in the bottom, and then you take another doll. I'm going to take Fable, take the stand off, and you take the blanket and you flip it so that it's covering Mira. As you can see, she's right there. You can see her right there. The camera angle is really bad, I apologize, but hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then you take the doll and you point her facing the opposite direction. So Mira Shards had her head here, and now Fabel's head is down here. So you have them pressed up against each other snugly, and then you move the blanket back into place and you spread it out. So here's Fable. Fable is right here. And then you just repeat that. So I'm going to take another doll. I'm going to take Rosabella, take the stand off, and lay her so that she's the same as Mira next to Fable in a line. So here's where Fable is. And see, it sort of provides a cocoon for the dolls. Their arms and limbs and everything are tucked right inside, and then because this doll is here, there's a gap for them, and because this one's covered with a towel, these can't touch and get messed up. So then you flip the towel over, and you keep doing that until you've covered the box. I'm going to take Darling, and she has a bit of a fancy hairstyle, so I'm going to be really gentle with her, and then just put her in the bottom, and make sure their limbs and everything are tucked in next to them, and then you just go ahead and put the towel back. See, it's really pretty easy, and then you just make sure they're all nice and flat. And then you just do that all the way down. You just keep going until it's all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's a bit of a gap right here where there aren't any dolls, and there's too big of a gap to put just one doll in there snugly, and there's not enough of a gap to be able to put 2 dolls in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Lizzie with the big fancy stuff and put her in like so. That way her big fancy neck, chest, whatever, fan thing is nice and protected. And so then, since this first layer is done, as you can see, there's still a lot of room on top. So what you go ahead and do is you just fold this part, if there is an extra part, over. Or if there isn't a part like this and you still have a whole bunch of extra, what you do is you just kind of fold it over. But since I don't need that, I'm just going to fold this over. And then you just do it again. So this would be like the bottom of the box. And you take your doll, and remember how over here, Mia Shards is facing this way, her head's here. Well, this time you do the opposite and you put the head down here. So that way, her head has a nice little cocoon where the legs of the other doll are. And then you just do the same thing. You flip this over, and you make it all smooth because sometimes it doesn't want to lay flat. And you can see Ray's face right here. It's my brother's blanket, but he said I could use it. And you just go ahead and just like fold it. And since the doll is right here, Lizzie's right there, then you take the other doll, hold on, she's attached to Brayburn right now. There we go. And you put her facing this way. So you see, and then you make sure their limbs are all nice and smooth, and then you fold it back. And you make sure they're really good and right up against the other doll. Right up against the other doll. So then, what you do is you put the doll on top of that one. And this is my last Ever After High doll, but I'm going to move on to Monster High. And you just put it right in there, all nice and smooth. You fold it over, and you put the other doll. And I'm going to do Deuce, because he's easier to grab. Did I do that right? Yes. So then Deuce goes here. And then you just keep doing that over and over again. So as you can see, there's a bit of a gap right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Posea and put her there. So I'm going to put her right here. And then you just arrange accordingly. So there. She can be pressed down from anywhere, and she'll be okay. And you can actually fit one more doll. There's a bit of a gap right here. Let me see if I can tip the camera to show you. See, there's a bit of a gap right there. So what I'm going to do, let's see if I can get the camera set up right again. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a doll. I'm going to take Howleen and put her right there and move her legs so that they're just next to her head. So that way you can push on it and it'll be fine. So then you just take another piece. It could be a shirt or another blanket or a towel or something, and you just keep doing that until it gets completely filled to the top. Here is another very important detail that you have to know when you're packing your dolls. Do not use newspaper when you're packing your dolls, because if you do, and you're driving or flying to or from wherever you're going to go, when you get to your destination, when you take the newspaper off, you're going to have the New York Times stamped all over your doll's face. Because what happens is the ink from the newspaper rubs off on the doll's face, and it's really hard to get off, and it's just not fun. So don't use newspaper. And you don't have to use a towel. I'm actually using a blue dress again, so you can use whatever you have. So spread it out. Make sure it's all good. Spread it out really well. And as you remember, Lizzie is down here, and her feet are right here. So you're going to do the opposite. You're going to put the head where her feet are, as you can see. And when you have a tail, you don't want to put it in there, because as you can see, if I put it in there, it's pushing and the tail could snap or break. So what you do is you remove the tail, which is very easy. You just take it off, and you lay your doll down whichever way. And what you do is, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. If there's a face here, because there is, you don't put your doll's feet on that, because it could mess up the face. So instead, you just find a spot where you can set your doll down and it's not getting messed up. And then what you do for the tail is you put it around so that you can find a spot where it's protected, where it's not being pushed on by anything. And that seems good around her face. That seems to work out well. So that's something for you to know if you're using a doll with a tail. So here's another example. I have Katrine with me. Take off her tail. Very important. Remove the tail, put the doll in, whichever way is best, and you lay the tail in such a way that it's protected, and that works better. Here's another example, Toralei, tail. And she has curly hair, so you have to be pretty careful with her. Just make sure that she's laid flat and that her hair is protected. And if you need to lay it the other way and her hair will be better, then do it that way. And then just find a way to lay her tail so that it's not being pushed on by anything. And see, it just tucks down really nicely right there. So that's what you do. And you just keep going until there's no more room at the top. And there is hardly any room here, but there's lots of room here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find a place for Brayburn, because he has to be packed too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his wings off. And once I go ahead and do that, come on, wings. Okay, I got one of them off, as you can see. And then you just tuck them in the edge where there's space. And then if I can take off the other one. Come on, wings. You can do it. 1, 2, 3. Yes, got it. All right. And then you just find a place and you tuck it in. And then there does seem to be room for him here. And you try and find a way to lay him so that he isn't disturbing any of the other dolls. And this seems to work well, putting it there. And so then, there's a little bit of room left, and I actually don't have any more Monster High dolls to put up. So I'm going to find some other dolls that I can fit. So that's Ever After High, Monster High, and how about Disney? So I'm going to put my Belle doll right here and just lay her out. It's not very neat, but this is the top layer, so it's okay. And then Elsa, there's room for her here. And so then, that's how you pack your dolls, and I have many, many more to pack. As you can see, I've got dolls here that I need to pack. I've got to pack all those. I've got to pack all of these. And I also have to pack those there, and those up there, and those ones in that box are packed. And those are dolls that I haven't fixed up yet, so let me move over there. These are dolls I haven't fixed yet, so I did not do the blanket method, and I did use a pretty deep box. And that's okay, because these dolls haven't been fixed yet, and so it doesn't really matter. And what I did is basically the same technique as with the blanket, except without it. So what I did is I just laid all the dolls one direction along the bottom, and then for the second layer I faced them the other direction, as you can see here. See, here's a line with heads, and then there's heads here. And then there's feet under here, and heads here. So that's what I did with the dolls that haven't been fixed yet. And you can just put all the clothes in a box, or in a Ziploc baggie, or something I really like to do is take a photo album and find some little plastic dividers, and hold on, there's a bit of a glare, and put your doll clothes in here. See? And then you can put them anywhere. So there's pants here, and shorts and skirts. See? You can just put them in here. I really like to do this. And you can have so many pages of doll clothes. And it also keeps them from getting wrinkled if you can lay them in there flat. And see, here's all my Ken clothes. I apologize for like the glare or whatever, but you can kind of see what's going on. And then here's all of my Monster High and Ever After High clothes. See, you can put them all in here, and they all fit, and then you can just close it, and then put it in a backpack. So that's how I pack my dolls, and I have many, many. Packing all of my dolls, and every single one of these boxes behind me are stock full of dolls. So I hope that this video was informative to you, and it was also kind of like a little chit chat slash vlog sort of thing, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!